Hey, how you doing? This is Dede King, and welcome to my talk show, Down to Earth with Dede King. Today I have a special guest with me. He started out his professional skateboarding career at the early age of 14, and quickly rose to the top of his league very quickly to be the #1 of his time. And please welcome with me, and welcome to the show, two-time X Games gold medalist winner and author of his new autobiography, Christian Hosoi.
Hey, good to see you.
How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Well, it's good to see you. Good to see you.
Stoked to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you came. So, well, let's go ahead and get right into it. Got a couple questions for you. I'm not going to put you in the hot seat or anything like that. But
I am in the hot seat. Let's do this.
Good, I'm glad. All right, so just Christian, I mean, can you tell me a little bit of how you just came to be a skateboarder, or just kind of, how did skateboarding
How did it all
come into
start?
your life?
Well, my dad was a surfer in the '60s. Grew up in Hawaii, moved to California, got married to my mom, and went to art school. But since he was a surfer, skateboarding was a huge, popular thing in the early '70s, and so immediately he gave me a skateboard. And there's really no waves here in California. I mean, compared to Hawaii, so there really wasn't much surfing. So basically, he took me down to Venice Beach. We were going to art shows, art openings, art galleries, and just skateboarding became the thing that I fell in love with. But it was after my first love was Bruce Lee. I wanted to be a martial artist. That was what I was going to be. And then I got introduced to skateboarding about 7, 8 years old when the urethane wheel came out in '73.
Okay.
And that's when I kind of like went, wait a minute, I could actually do this and still be acrobatic and it'd be cool, because it was super cool at the time. California, Venice Beach, Santa Monica. And so, with Jerry Lopez being my idol, as well, and my dad, just surfing, I was like, man, I could surf on land and not have to go into that freezing cold water, get up early in the morning, put on those crazy cold wetsuits, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I was over that,
right,
super fast. I was like,
right.
man, I just want to listen to loud music, get on my skate and shred, and that's what, inspired me, was really just the introduction to it through my father.
So did you skate at all in Hawaii?
Well, I grew up in California.
Okay.
I moved to Hawaii for 2nd grade, I think 1st and 2nd grade, and I was only there for a year and a half or so, but I grew up in California, Hollywood.
Cali boy.
Yep, born and raised.
All right. Well, so you're originally from California. Whereabouts in California? I mean,
L.A., downtown L.A.
Downtown L.A.
Beechwood Canyon, went to Normandy and Washington Boulevard, Vermont and Washington Boulevard, Wilshire and Western, Koreatown.
Yeah.
Then I moved to Echo Park, had my own house.
Echo Park.
Yeah.
I know Echo Park. I'm familiar.
Yeah.
A little small little community there. Yeah.
And then I moved to Huntington Beach in '93. And so I've been in Huntington Beach since '93.
Okay. All right. Well, so, were your parents supportive of you choosing to, be a skateboarder, or?
Super supportive. My father was just, as an artist, he graduated Berkeley with his master's degree in fine art in the '60s. He graduated with some of the highest honors, first Japanese guy to, graduate with the honors that he did at the time. And so I grew up in such an environment and an atmosphere of creativity, innovation, and just aspirations and wanting to be creative. So for me, he was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to skateboard. He's like, you really want to skateboard? Okay, I'll take you to the skate park. We would go to the skate park, on the weekends, and then I'm like, I want to go every day. He's like, you want to go every day? I'm like, yeah, I want to go every day. He's like, well, it cost money to go to the skate parks back then. So he's like, oh yeah, it was.
So they didn't have the open skate parks that we got now.
Now it's all free. These kids don't even know how rough we had it. If you wanted to skate, you had to pay.
So they had
so my dad basically said, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to work, I'm going to manage the skate park. got a job, managed the skate park, Marina Del Rey skate
Wow.
park. It became my backyard in like '79, right after it opened, and
So I want to talk
it
about
became my
support.
backyard.
Talk about support. I mean, that's supporting your
Huge. He
son.
sacrificed his whole,
Yeah.
career,
Wow.
to support mine.
Wow.
And my
That's
mom
love.
was a
That's love.
secretary in Beverly Hills, and she supported me, because I was starting to make money at about 14 years old, turned pro.
Mm-hmm.
By 15, I'm making a couple $1,000 a month. And,
Wow.
by 16, it was like, okay, I'm traveling all over the world now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't sit here and go to school.
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
So I basically dropped out of, school to
Right, to
pursue
pursue.
my career in skateboarding, and they were super supportive. And, I got tutored by my mom how to do business, started my own company at 17, Hosoi Skateboards in 1985. This is the 30th anniversary of that. And so
Wow.
it's a big year this year,
Very nice.
Yeah. But when it all started, I had a huge support system from my parents.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, that was the other question that what you said just brings me to. I would kind of like to hear a little bit about what you were feeling as a youngster, just becoming pro. I mean, what were you feeling in that moment when you realized this whole professional skateboard thing just became a reality? I'm now what I.
Well,
only
it
thought I
starts
could do.
off with pure intentions. My motives were to be the best in the world. I just wanted to, what I wanted to be as a martial artist. I just wanted to kick everyone's butt. You know what I mean? That's it. I'm going to smash everyone. And then all of a sudden skateboarding came in, and I said, I'm going to shred on everyone. I want to be the best in the world. And so at 10 years old, practicing every day, it soon became a reality. At
Sure.
12 years old, I won the biggest amateur contest of the day.
Gotcha.
At 12, and
Yeah.
so it happened so quickly, and then with that came the peer pressures of the day, when it was smoking weed, drinking beer, chasing girls. I mean, all my idols were.
At what age was that? Did all that start happening?
12 years old.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You were partying at 12.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was smoking weed
Wow.
at 10. Started
Wow.
to drink. Alcohol, pimp alcohol at the liquor stores at 12,
Yeah.
took acid at 12, mushrooms 13, started doing blow at 14. I mean, it was kind of like, when you're wanting to be something big like that, and at that time, the culture was, my idols, Tony Alva, Jay Adams, Shogo Kubo, all these guys, and they all smoked weed, they drank beer, they all dropped out of school.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They were just raging rebels. And so what did you want to be?
Yeah.
I wanted to be like them.
You wanted to be like them.
What did I end up being? Just like
Just
them.
like them,
And
right.
so, with the peer pressure of fitting, in, I think that, with the pure intentions of just wanting to be the best in the world, a lot of distractions come in. And, but I had a good foundation because of my parents that were like, you need to practice, you need to, if you want to do this, you need to really put your heart and soul into this. Not, you got to practice every day, you got to, it's not a jock thing.
Sure, they just.
It was more passion.
Right.
You needed to
Right.
stay passionate about what you wanted. What are your goals, Christian? Do you want to be the best in the world? Because you got to want it. And those words always resonated with me because I just wanted that. So even though I had all these distractions and girls started coming into the picture, it was like I focused on the prize, and that was still becoming the best in the world. And so it kept me focused, but still it was tough. I had to jump through everyone's hoops. Everyone's telling me, you're the best in the world, you're going to be the best in the world. Yeah, let's go to this party, and you got to play the part, you got to do the role. But I managed to continue with my career and to reach those goals, and to, at 17, win first place, world champion, Guinness Book of World Records, and just really solidified my world championship, in street and vert, So
Gotcha.
there was a element of, success and, and completion and covers of magazines, you know, making now hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, big sponsorships,
Right.
traveling the world, having everything, you know, but really at the end of the day, you know, there was something missing inside me, because I always tell people, you know, even though I had what seemed to be it all, you know, there's some emptiness there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we'll touch on that in just a minute. One thing what I would like to do is kind of fast forward a little bit and talk about, you know, once you had these years in of partying and being #1 in the world and having that success in front of you, there came a point where you hit a snag in life, pretty major snag.
I think
That took you kind of under the wave, should we say? And I think, you know, we're talking about. You mind talking about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it all starts somewhere. You know, because of what happened in my life when I finally hit a rock bottom experience. It started earlier.
Right.
It started for me, you know, trying to fulfill that what I was talking about, that void in my heart that I was trying to fill. And I always tell people, you know, I was like a bucket full of holes, you know, putting like the skateboarding in, the trophies in, the money in, the fame in, the girls in, the parties in, and it just kept draining out, and it never satisfied me. I was never content. I couldn't get enough. If I had it, I needed more. If I, you know, had more, I needed even more. You know, it didn't matter.
Sure.
And so I always tell everybody that I was searching for true love. You know, I was searching for love, you know, and I wanted to have it. I wanted to be content with my successes, but I just couldn't. And then finally, you know, hitting a rock bottom experience, you know, is when I finally evaluated my life. I went, why me? What happened to my life? You know, I got addicted to crystal meth for almost 8 years straight, 5 years doing it every single day, you know, to the point of like staying up for days at a time, running from the cops, having bench warrants, you know what I mean? From going from the top of the world to like running from the cops, you know, and me thinking I'm having a good time. Woohoo, this is sick, man.
And it's all an adrenaline rush for you.
Oh yeah, it's a thrill.
Even running from the cops, it's all a thrill.
I always tell people, you know what, I couldn't find ultimate satisfaction in the good things, the trophies, the first place, Guinness Book of World Records.
Right.
You know, I was like, man, I'm gonna go the rock star way. I'm gonna go down that dark road. Get drugs, and I'm gonna get addicted, and I'm gonna go hang out with some shady people and some convicts, and like hang out and thrill seek in a whole different manner, and push the edge, you know, stand on the edge of death on getting as high as you can without dying. Right. You know what I mean? And surviving and going, oh, that was so good. You know what I mean? And feeling like it was worth the money and it was worth going for that.
But see, you realize that now. I mean, today, you know, you're more mature now. You realize that you were thrill seeking, but doing it in a different manner, right? But you didn't realize it then. I mean, you couldn't have. It must have been a kind of a whirlwind, because again, you were #1 skateboarder, and now you're going down a dark path. But did you know that you were seeking that same adrenaline rush, or not? Or were you just going through the motions of life, and this was now your adrenaline?
Well, I was looking for my identity. I tell people all the time, I was looking for who I am. What am I? Who am I? Why am I? Okay. You know, and I was searching for it in things. Sure. Finally, I was in a drug-induced state, just sitting there trying to figure it out and saying, you know what, I'm going to make a big comeback. I'm going to get sober, come back and smash everyone. Yeah. You know, I can do it anytime I want. You know, I had this pridefulness that I'm so gifted, you know, that I could just come back and, you know, do whatever I want. But, you know, when you're not happy and you're not content, you just don't even know which way to go. Till finally the wheels fell off. Right. I landed myself in prison, and they're telling me I'm doing 10 years, and I'm like now sitting there with all strings cut. Right. No more saying I'm Christian Hosoi, can you let me in the party? Hey, you want me to hang out with you? Know what I mean? Yeah. There's no more like, oh, I got a phone. I got a hookup. Yeah. No more hookups. No more connections. No more yes men. It's me and nobody else but these bars. And
Yeah.
you know, I just remember sitting there going, what happened? How did this happen? I'm not a bad person, you know?
Yeah.
And that was the contemplation of like finding myself. Who am I? You know,
Yeah.
that reflecting moment when you're confronted with something so heavy, and it's not just, oh wow, it's just heavy right now. Oh, it's going to be for years and years and years. You're going to spend time in prison.
Right.
And that made me really think about my life and have to go, what happened to my life?
Well, you had time. You had nothing but time. You had you, and you had time. And that's all you had at that moment. And so that...
Well, it hadn't started yet.
Well, I'm just saying, well, once
I'm
it did
getting my first phone call now. They
What?
go, Christian, you want to make a phone call? I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. I'm going to
Okay.
call my girl.
Okay,
My
so
wife.
that was before you actually went in.
This is like first day. I'm arrested.
Okay.
I'm sitting here going, what in the world happened? How
Yeah.
this happened?
Yeah.
You know, all, you know, things are gone. There's nothing left. I can't get out. The bars are locked.
Yeah.
There's no talking my way out of this.
Right. Right.
And then finally, I get my call and I'm like, hey, Jen, you know what? I'm looking at 10 years. I don't know, you know. And it's funny, I get there. I'm in Hawaii Federal, you know, holding. And
Is that in Honolulu?
in Honolulu,
Okay.
I was on the news.
Okay.
They
Wow.
all saw me on the news. I
Wow.
get in there and they're like, Christian Hosoi, what's up? Dude, we saw you on the news.
Hey,
We knew you were
brother.
coming. Dude, I had your board.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what are you here for? He's like, murder. I was like, yo, okay.
All right.
Sick. You know what I mean? Like, I go, what are you looking at? He goes, you know, I'm looking at 140 years, double life sentence,
Wow.
never getting out of prison.
Wow.
And I was like, huh. So what am I looking at? He goes, gravy, brah. You get 10 years. Walk in the park.
Dime tops, brah.
He goes,
Yeah.
walk in the park, brah. 10
Yeah.
years, you're good. I was like,
Right? Right?
like compared to his,
Compared to his, that's great.
I was like,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I was still dying on the inside,
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to act like I was cool. Like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
where's my room? like, my room. Where's my room?
Where's my
like,
cell?
Going to like my cell, right? And
No more rooms anymore.
getting
You got
that
a
first
cell.
phone call and trying not to, you know, sit there and weep on the phone in front of all these killers and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people that, you know, knew who I was. And I just said, look, I don't know if I can make it. And she goes, you know what, I love you. We just got to trust in God. And I was like, God, I need an attorney. I need
Yeah.
bail.
Yeah.
I don't need, what's God going to do for me? And at that moment, I thought about it and I was like, whoa, God. My name's Christian. My nickname's Christ. In '85, cover of Thrasher magazine. On the cover, Christ.
Right.
Everyone called me Christ. I invented a maneuver called the Christ Air
Right.
in '86.
Right. Right.
It's January 2000,
Yeah.
and she's saying God's gonna help us and go get a Bible. And I was like, go get a Bible? I've never even opened one in my whole entire life.
So
At
it was
this
your wife,
moment-
it was your wife that introduced the whole idea of the Lord to you.
Well, definitely, because right before that, she goes, I'm quitting drugs and I'm going to church right here in Placentia, right? And I was like, sweet, I'll go. You know? She's like, no, whatever. And I go with her, and then I get arrested a couple months later. How ironic is that?
Right. Right.
First time, and nothing happened. I was like, this is sweet. God's good. I'm good. Partying's good. Skateboarding's good. You know, and if you're good enough, you'll go to heaven. That's the way I thought.
Yeah.
I believed in like karma. I thought if you're a good person, you know, you're going to go to this place called heaven one day. And so I was a good guy my whole life. Didn't steal a thing, didn't hurt anybody, you know, and, you know, I guess I inherited that from my parents and the people who I looked up to per se, but that was my stance. And then when I finally got into that cell and I'm, you know, told God's going to help me, I was like, you know what? This is insane. and I grabbed a Bible, went and looked for one, went into my room. This is like first day in prison now, first day.
Okay.
And I just opened it up, cried out to God. You know how you get in those rock bottom experiences and you're going, you know what, I promise I won't do this again. Just get me out of this situation. And I was going in to get bail.
Yeah, we've all definitely been there.
A bail hearing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, get me bail. I promise I'll speak to kids. I'll never do drugs again. I made all these vows, and then I opened up the Bible, and it was just like the scales fell off my eyes. I realized that I was created for a purpose. God had a plan for my life, and that I just ripped through that Bible like first day, and I went to go to the bail hearing, and they're like, danger to the community, threat to society, no bail. And I was I'm like looking up, in the courtroom, like, what happened? Didn't I make a deal with you?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Now looking back, I knew that there was more to it than just me getting bail, because I went back and I just knew God was real. I knew that I was there because of my choices. I wasn't there because I deserved it. You know what I mean? It wasn't, fate. It was my choices that got me there, and it was going to be my choices to change my life. And that's when I, 2 weeks later, gave my life to the Lord in jail, spent 5 years in prison. And I always tell people I spent 5 years in prison, a free man for the first time in my whole entire life.
That's great. I mean, that really is a touching story, and I'm glad that you're sharing that with us here. Let's kind of fast forward just a bit, and let me ask you this: so after you had done your prison term, you got out, and what connected you with the group of pastors that you're with now? And that what made you go and turn into the life of being a pastor at a church?
Well, I was already inside doing interviews. I had sheriffs bringing their churches in for me to speak to them. I was doing every kind of correspondence courses inside, sharing my testimony in magazines, and everyone knew that I was an outspoken
So you started that in prison?
In prison.
You decided,
First year in prison,
decided
I was
you were going
already
to be a pastor, and that you were going to...
Well, I don't think I decided to be a pastor. I thought, here's how I always tell people. I go, I wanted to be the best skateboarder in the world. That was my goal.
Okay.
So when faith came into my life, I wanted to be the best Christian.
Gotcha.
And so I applied that same principle, like, why wouldn't I want to be the best?
Sure.
And so for me, it didn't matter what I was going to be, a deacon, a pastor, or a minister, or whatever you want to call it. It was, I just want to serve the Lord. I want to be on fire for what God wants to do in and through my life.
Let me see if
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But as I went on, I met Pastor Jay. He came to visit me. Lance Mountain came to visit me.
Right.
Eddie O'Gara came to visit me. All these Christians
came to visit you in prison.
And pastors came to visit me in prison.
Wow. In Hawaii?
No, in San Bernardino County.
San Bernardino. Okay. All right.
And, it was there that, we connected, Pastor Jay and I, and my wife, and father were going there right before I got out. And so when I got out, I got plugged right into the sanctuary church.
Nice.
And within a year, within 2.5 months, I was sharing testimony, preaching and speaking at the church, then went to other churches already. So within that year, I landed and went straight to Harvest Crusade at Angel Stadium and did a demo on a vert ramp.
Wow.
Right when I landed, getting out of prison.
Yeah.
Landed, went to do a demo at Angel Stadium, and they're like asking me on the mic, so how do you feel? And I'm like, man, I feel set free. Yeah. Jesus Christ came into my life and set me free.
Yeah.
And it was like the crowd went,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, it wasn't like I was a celebrity.
Sure.
It was more like I was living for a whole different purpose now.
Gotcha.
And that purpose was to give God glory. And so whatever, vehicle God gives me.
And to try to be the best at doing that.
To use as that platform, you know, I'm going to use it. And if it's my fame and my popularity, if it's my skateboarding abilities to do that, you know, I'm completely game, because that's, you know, what I'm here. That's what God created me to do.
Right.
Is to give Him glory. All
right. Well, we definitely want to make sure that we do touch on the fact that you have this new book out. It's entitled Hosoi, My Life as a Skateboarder, Junkie, Inmate, Pastor. So that kind of sums it all up right there in the title of the book, right? Mm-hmm. We get a shot of this.
Yeah, it's a 1.5-year project that we started about
we get too close up to this?
2.5 years ago. And it was after my documentary was out, The Rising Sun, that Cesario Montano directed.
Well, is that because that's why you have the background here? That background there?
This is a whole separate project.
Okay. All right.
But the documentary is now on Netflix, and but we just wanted to do something. I was even thinking about doing a movie before the book came, and then the book deal came, and I was like, okay, let's do this first before I even do the movie, because usually a book comes before a movie.
Comes before the movie, right.
And so when this book project came on my plate, I was super hyped that, you know, HarperCollins approached me, and they were like, we really want to do this. And so to me, it was an opportunity for me to, you know, now, you know, be able to share my life and share my testimony and share stories that no one's heard before, you know, that weren't in the documentary, that are personalized to the book. And, you know, it was a long process of eliminating so many stories, because I have so many stories to share, that we just wanted to pick the right ones that fit the book. And so we really edited it down and came up with, I believe, a solid read. You know what I mean? When I hear people tell me that, you know, after I read your book, it changed my life, you know, I think just that one person saying that the book was a success, you know what I mean? And that's really what I want to do. I want to be a person whose life and experiences can change someone else's, and for the positive too, you know what I mean?
Right.
And to help them break the chains of addiction, or even handling the successes in life and the failures, because really my life is like a story of ups and downs, you know, falling down and getting back up and dusting yourself off, and and not giving up.
Right.
You know, there's second chances, and I think that that's where my story can help so many people, because here I am, I'm alive. Who would ever thought that I could live through what I went through,
what you went through,
and come out 15 years sober just last month.
I mean, just that, that alone is an inspiration for many people. Just that in itself, being sober for 15 years, you know, not getting high anymore. Where, I mean, there's people out there that are, I mean, you know, not only just trying to, you know, find their way through life, but just trying to not be an addict anymore. And that, being 15 years sober, is just enough to minister to anyone.
Well, it gives people hope. You know, we live in a world that, you know, people feel hopeless with. You look at the news, you look at life, the situations, having to pay rent, you know, trying to feed your kids, and it's just, pressures come, the trials of life come, and then you just throw in the towel, you give up, and you just throw your hands up. But you know what? If they could see that I made it, and if I can do it, they can do it, you know, and it gives people hope, you know, and I don't care that it's just about, you know, it's my story, but my story's not any different than everybody else's. Everyone's got a story. But I'm just open and honest to share it. And I think that that's something that a lot of people have a hard time with. And so I just want to be an open book, so that, you know, when people talk to me or they ask me questions in an interview like this, you're like, hey, I don't want to put you in the hot seat. I'm like, put me in the hot seat, because hopefully somebody watching this will be like, wow, that's something I can relate to. And you know what, now I've got hope that things can change, and things can actually turn around. And so this book really, you know, is a project that I'm very, very thankful for, as well as the documentary, you know, Rising Sun, and then even now.
When does the Rising Sun come out, or is it out? Can people see the Rising
It's
Sun?
on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now with the future of looking at doing a movie project, it's all, you know, going to be fun again.
Nice.
Time to get creative.
All right. All right. Well, there you have it. Again, you can. Is there any websites that anyone can go to pick up your book, or?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon's got it, and then definitely go out and support. You know, share the book with others. I think it's a book that's a good gift. You know, because it's an inspirational book. It's something that, you know, it's not only a fun read and an adventure, but it's also an inspirational book. So, you know, and it's definitely supporting me and my family, my ministry, and I would be super appreciative of that. But also, just I think right now, bookstores, if you go to the bookstore and you tell them, hey, order it, that's another way you can get the book out, which I always encourage people. Yeah, like they ordered it and then it sells out and then they don't order it until somebody asks for it. So go in there and ask for my life as a junkie inmate pastor.
All right. Well, there you have it, Christian Hosoi, folks. Pro skater, gold medalist at the X Games, author of his own book here that you can pick up. You can pick it up at any bookstore if you request it. It's even better. Or go to Amazon and pick it up. Also see The Rising Sun on Netflix. Go to Netflix. I've got it. You've got it. Everyone's got Netflix. It's only $7 a month. So go ahead and check out The Rising Sun. I know I'm going to do that. And I think we got a movie thing coming here for Mr. Hosoi here in the future. So it was definitely a pleasure having you here, Christian.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for coming and sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And that's a wrap here. That's Down to Earth with Dede King. Again, Mr. Christian Hosoi and your boy Dede King. Thank you for watching. So make sure you tune in next week because you know it's going to be hot.